Greetings everyone, this is Mr. Anderson. This is the first of my world history webcasts. These are designed to be 5 to 10 minute forms of review for you. Obviously I don't go into as much detail with stories and lessons, but certainly I want to review some of the key concepts from class and give you something to watch at home. Click on this, you go over your notes and you'll get it. Okay, so let's talk first about civilization. Obviously, you know from class that humankind has been around for tens of thousands of years, and only up until give or take 10,000 years ago, people the world over hunted down their breakfast. They got up in the morning and they had to worry about were they going to chase down their food or were they going to go find it and scavenge it. And when people started coming together for mutual benefit, primarily around river valleys, and there were some anomalies in the mountains like the Andes and the Incas, but certainly people came together to work together and use 6 basic characteristics to make their lives better. Better in the sense that food was easier to get. And when you have food that's easier to get, and takes less time and is less time intensive to produce your meals, your food, and your calorie intake is higher with less expenditure, you're freed up to do things like make art, make weapons, create institutions, and let's talk about that. Okay, so basically civilizations have six basic concepts, and those concepts I like to put into a simple acronym, as you well know. Many of you have iPhones, iTouches, iPads, or iPods. And so I wanted to create an acronym that you would remember throughout the year, and that would be a simple concept for you. I like to call it iTRACS, as you know. And iTRACS simply stands for Institutions, Technology, Record Keeping, Agriculture, Cities, and Specializations. So let's talk about these. Institutions, when we talk institutions, we're talking government, religion, military. When you take a look at any advanced civilization in early human history, those are going to show up, whether you're talking about ancient Mesopotamia, China, the Indus Valley, or South America. A basic form of government and a structure and a hierarchy to how people are ruled, perhaps a law code, in the case of Hammurabi's code, which we'll get there, but you're also going to see a military, and you will see forms of religion arise. Okay. The next concept is technology. In these civilizations, technology is advanced through necessity. The necessity to do things better, quicker, and more efficiently. Things like pottery, weaving, weapon making, metallurgy, different forms of agricultural advancements, building, masonry, building roads, building bridges, building homes, granaries. Advancing technology comes out of, think about any time you do something quicker or faster, the more you do it, and you find better ways of doing things. That's simply the advancement of technology. And along the way, over a span of thousands of years, in civilizations where people are freed up from the labors of having to worry about their food every day, they are free to tinker and to invent and to innovate and to find better ways of doing things. The next characteristic, and these are all in no particular order. In fact, actually, agriculture is the most important and the linchpin of these six foundations. But record keeping is important. Record keeping arose in civilizations just for that. You had to keep track of the grain that you would harvest from the year, so that you could see trends and understand how much it took to feed your city or city-state, or as the case may be. Record keeping also was important to communicate to far-flung regions of a civilization or eventually an empire. It was important to keep a tracked history of perhaps a hierarchy of the government or of a dynasty, but record keeping was certainly important when you're talking about military and religion. Maintaining a history through oral tradition. Obviously, there's a rich past in that, but record keeping allowed for human beings to write things down and keep a record of their past and their laws or their culture. And so what you see is the rise of things like cuneiform, which is an ancient Sumerian form of writing where you take reeds and make wedge-like shapes into wet clay, and when it dries and hardens, you have cuneiform, which is the earliest form of writing known to man. And then, of course, I also like to lump language into record keeping, where you see different languages arise and dialects. The next is agriculture. Agriculture, like I said, is the linchpin. When mankind found out that you don't have to get up every morning and travel miles and miles and miles and chase down your protein and scavenge for your carbohydrates, that in fact we can figure out a way to plant food right here and harvest it and never have to leave. We build a home and we can stay here. Or have a flock of sheep or goats or cattle, so that you can harvest something for its hide, its meat, and its milk right there, and you don't have to chase it in the morning. When human beings find out to do that, how to do that, they're going to commit to locations, and in these locations, cities are going to rise. And so agriculture is extremely important because, like I said earlier, you have a high caloric intake, but a low expenditure for the amount of food, generally speaking. I mean, this isn't always the case. Obviously, there's going to be destroyed crops because of weather anomalies and climate anomalies, and there's going to be different instances where the crops will fail. But on the whole, on a long enough timeline, agriculture was a net plus for human beings because their food was right there. They walk out of their hut in the morning, there's your wheat if you're living in ancient Mesopotamia. Or if you're living in South America, there's your maize. Okay? Or if you're living in ancient Mesopotamia, there's your goats and your cattle that you can harvest right there. Okay, so agriculture is the linchpin of civilization because what it's going to allow people to do is to stay in one spot. Okay, and once you have this huge harvest of grain and all the livestock, and people are tending to that, what's going to happen is cities arise because suddenly permanent structures. You can stay here because the food is there. There's a water source here. Let's start building and staying here. And cities are mutually beneficial. People go to cities because there's work in cities, and that's what brings me to specialization. When you're freed up from the labors of worrying about your food and how you're going to produce your breakfast every day, you can do other things. Obviously, you're always in ancient civilizations, there's going to be people that are farming, taking care of the livestock, making sure that the granaries are filled. But you're also going to have arise people like potters and weavers and weapon makers, specialists who specialize in a task and become very good at it. You think about practicing anything, an instrument or a play on a field. The more you do it, the better you become at it, and the quicker and more efficient you can be. Imagine someone who's weaving basketry all day, and they do it for their whole lives, or pottery, or they're making arrows, or perhaps you have scribes, you have soldiers, you have farmers, you have herders, and people specialize in one task, whereas before civilization, people had to specialize in many little tasks, or not even specialize in many little tasks. They had to build their own home, they had to find their own food, and they had to make their own clothes. Well, when you have cities, there's a person who makes the clothes. There's somebody who takes care of making the pots and the baskets and shoes, perhaps, and builds your home. And so what specialization does is it allows for also the advancement of technology. And all these things are interwoven. And so again, iTRACS, the basic foundations of civilization. One more time: institutions, technology, record-keeping, agriculture, cities, and specialization. So hopefully in 10 minutes, that's just a quick snapshot review of what we've been going on in class, what we've been studying in class, and that can be a quick reminder for you. Enjoy, and I will see you soon.